Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a video that's a little different from everything that I have done so far on the channel. About a month ago, I put up a community post asking for some just AMA type questions, board game or otherwise, and I got a bunch of them, so I'm excited to kind of dive into them and answer what folks were asking about. This video is way past due. I meant to do this when I posted this like a month ago, and then I went to Japan for 2 weeks, and then I got sick, and so I'm finally kind of in a place, I'm recording videos again, and I can actually focus and do this. So I'm excited to get into these questions, and in the sake of having just something visual going on in the background, I'm going to be playing a game of Gentle Rain while I'm going over these questions. So Gentle Rain is really kind of like the poster child of what has become like cozy Zen games, and just a quick, so you know what I'm doing in the background, it is just flipping over these tiles, matching these different colors of flowers, and then you're trying to form these like squares and then place all of these flower tokens. So this is by no means going to be optimal playing of a Gentle Rain, but it is just something to kind of like occupy me. It was either that or I could put like a loop of Subway Surfer on half the screen while I'm answering questions to keep it visually engaging, but I felt like this is more in the spirit of talking about board games. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at our first question here, and this is from JVY1111. Recommendations for easy to learn two-player game for someone who isn't a big board gamer and favorite party game. So yeah, two-player games are probably my second most played player count. Kind of like solo games, right? The threshold to get someone to play a two-player game is usually a bit lower. My wife is held hostage in our house, and so, you know, I can twist her arm to play board games every so often. That is an exaggeration. She's a very good sport about learning games, so it is very appreciated. But yeah, as far as kind of board games or two-player games that are good for kind of non-board gamers, I know one of our favorite go-tos is a game called Jaipur, and it is a two-player trading game where you're going to have like these 5 different goods that you're trying to vie for, and as you go for these goods, you're trying to sell sets of them to collect points. It's extremely cutthroat. It's really simple. Like the actual actions you do are really kind of easy to pick up on, but it is like a very interesting meta that kind of develops as you play with one person over and over again. Jaipur is one of my favorites. That's competitive. I'll give an extra cooperative option as well, because we have really been loving Sky Team. So this is like a cooperative dice placement game where you're playing as the pilot and the co-pilot, and you're trying to like land a plane, and there's a bunch of like these little sub-modules where you're like adding different like weather effects or fuel or like all these different stuff you're trying to manage, which is a lot of fun. And I also really like dice placement as a mechanic, so like I was already really vibing with Sky Team just like on a mechanical level, and it's just really fun. It's really tense, but it does have a really good sense of cooperation as like you're playing it. We also just watched the rehearsal, if anyone else is a Nathan Fielder fan, and you get a lot of mileage out of playing Sky Team as the pilot and co-pilot after watching that. So if anyone has watched the rehearsal, check out Sky Team, and you get a lot of funny joke mileage out of playing it. And then favorite party game, this I kind of fluctuate on. Honestly, like anytime I go to a party, I'll just kind of grab one of the many party games that I have, because I feel like, you know, it kind of depends on the group, like how you want to like mesh with them. Because like I love Ready Set Bet, like that horse, it's a horse betting game. We're rolling dice and you're running a horse race, and that is a ton of fun. But like even that can be like a little bit more of a game than like if I'm going to a super casual party. So like I really like Ready Set Bet. I think more of a versatile one is Green Team Wins. So this is very much like the match game where you're gonna like ask a group a question and you are trying to like be on the majority side of the answer. So like there's multiple choice ones, there are like a whole bunch of different types of questions, and it's a lot of fun to just kind of like see what other people are saying, kind of as a good icebreaker type game. So I think if I'm going to a game where people are like, rather if I'm going to a party where people are kind of generally more into board games, I think that I would go with Ready Set Bet. I think I get a lot of mileage out of that, and it's a lot of fun. And if I was going to a party with like really non-board gamery people, I think that Green Team Wins has kind of like become a really easy go-to. It also has an expansion with what do you call it, like holiday themed questions. So like you get, you know, obviously like the most common party for me is like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, like that holiday season, right? You're usually going to a lot of common parties, and having a game that is like catered toward those types of questions is a lot of fun. So that is definitely a go-to. Green Team Wins. So thank you for the question, JVY1111. And well, let's move on to the next one. The next one is asked by Kate H1394. How many board games are in your current collection? And this is actually something I meant to do before recording this video, is trying to do more of a comprehensive count. I've kind of gotten lazy keeping track of my Board Game Geek like owned collection type stuff. I've kind of fallen off of doing that, and I just kind of add them sporadically. So I don't have a good collection there. I just have to like count everything. I would probably estimate like 50 to 75 probably. And that's not counting like Button Shy games. Like I have a ton of Button Shy wallet games. I'm talking about like boxed games, I guess. If it was with the Button Shy games, it's probably close to like 100-ish or so. But like 50 to 75, I think is like a good estimate for like standard games. Okay, next question by the flag. What is the physically heaviest game you own, including and not including expansions? So I think including expansions, I think that one's pretty easy. I think Final Girl, like if I stacked the 3 Final Girl seasons on top of each other, plus like the now 1 season 4 box that we have, I think that would probably be the heaviest, far and wide. I think that's a pretty easy winner. Actually, my Arkham Horror, the card game collection, that might actually be heavier than all of those, to be honest, because there's just so many cards and they kind of add up, and I have so many of them. A lot of my solo games I keep here in like my office where I record videos, so I'm looking at my solo games because they're usually like the heaviest ones. Gentle Rain highlight here. Usually when you play this, I try not to set up situations where I need an exact tile to fulfill 3 of these conditions, because it can be really tough to get that exact tile that you need. But when you do get it and you're able to fill up 2 of these to complete 2 little like circle segments, it feels really, really good. So we're just gonna put down 2 of these tiles here. All right, back to the questions. Next up, Popping Into Movies P7J says, the game I've played the most. So this one I actually can give a pretty easy definitive answer on, and that is going to be Final Girl. In terms of just like raw plays, I have like well over 100 plays of it, probably close to 200 at this point. And I gotten kind of lazy because ever since the Final Girl app came out, I started logging my games there, and I don't always go on to Board Game Geek to do that. So sometimes I do fall off logging them all there. But I think between the 2 ways I've tracked it, I think it's definitely Final Girl is the game I've played the most. That's kind of an easy answer. I think the second most played game is probably something small, like something you just kind of deal up and play a lot. Probably something like Flip 7. Flip 7 is fairly new. Maybe Trio. I played a ton of Trio. But anything like those little card games where you can just like deal them up and go, those get a lot of mileage. So I'd probably say something like Flip 7 or Trio is probably like one of my most played. Arkham Horror, the card game, that is pretty high up there because like when I play it, I play a lot of it. Or you're doing like a campaign, you're doing a lot of like multiple plays week after week, so you get those numbers really high. But I still don't think that's as much as Final Girl. Next up, Clean Bites Club says, games that make you hungry. This is a good one. I feel like a lot of it comes from components. I think an easy one to say is like Everdell, right? The like little berries look really delicious. Things like the Azul, like little tiles. I actually don't own Azul, so maybe I'll leave that out of the running, but those Azul tiles look really, really good. But actually, you do know what other game makes me really hungry? Creature Comforts. Creature Comforts has a lot of like baked goods, and like there's like a warm, like you're getting ready for winter and hibernation, and it feels like you should be eating a lot. And I think that one works really well for me. I think Creature Comfort does make me oddly hungry when I play it. Mark Cox 1368 asks, what is my Grail game and why? Yeah, so I think my Grail game is, I've thought about this one for a while, is actually the World of Warcraft adventure game that like Fantasy Flight put out in like the early 2000s or something. I don't even think it's particularly great. I think it's like a little bloated and a bit of a, like just like, it's a bit of an antiquated design, I think. Like we've gotten very used to like streamlined, tight board games. And I think it's kind of like an era of board games that just don't exist anymore. Like these long, bloated, rules convoluted. Not that those don't still exist, but like they were more common, I feel, back then. And actually, I'm gonna grab something real quick. All All right, so I want to run over and grab this that I have in my closet. This is the World of Warcraft, the adventure game, which is like, I think like the miniature version of like the whole big box. So this is like just like a section of like the Azeroth map, but it's a lot shorter. I think it's like a little bit lighter, but I would love to play like the full humongous like coffin-sized box big version, but it is really expensive and not readily accessible. But if I did ever find it like used and in complete condition, I would definitely think about grabbing that, because it is a game that I would like to at the very least try. So maybe if there's like a convention or something, that would be a time to try it. If I came across someone who was playing it, that would be pretty awesome. Also, kind of in a similar vein, the StarCraft board game, I think that has also been kind of long gone for a while. I know it's kind of like heralded as like, I think, what was it, like introduced like deck building maybe? Or like, I do think that I would like to try that one out. That would be pretty fun. Both just happen to be Blizzard properties, I guess. And if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing to join the channel. I do a lot of playthroughs and previews and reviews and list videos and all sorts of board game content. And in August, we are going to be going to Gen Con, which is going to be a lot of fun coverage coming from that soon. And I would love to have you on board. And if you are enjoying this video and want to see more future Q&As, leave me a comment down below with any other questions that you might have, board game or otherwise related. And maybe I will use this comment section like snowball and make like a big Katamari Damacy ball and keep rolling these questions in the next Q&A video into eternity until we have an unlimited amount of questions, but we're probably a long way off from that. Anyway, back to our Q&A video. It says, what is my favorite house rule for games? So this is probably gonna say more about me than the validity of house rules, but I'm not a big house rule person. Unless there's like an errata or something that I feel kind of like fixes something that's like broken in the game. I'm a pretty rules as written person. I feel like the designer has an intent, and like I feel like the game is, you know, should be kind of played with that intent in mind. Maybe that's kind of like a stuffy way of thinking about it, but I'm trying to think if there's any house rule I consistently do. Is in Everdell, sometimes I like to wipe all the meadow cards after a season finishes, because I feel like sometimes you get like stagnation there, and sometimes it's fun to just get through more of that bigger deck. So sometimes we'll play with that, where we're like, after a season you wipe all the meadow cards and you get new ones, just 'cause I think it adds just more fun to the game, right? It's kind of like a harmless house rule, I think. So yeah, I'm a pretty rules as written kind of person though. Up next we have Aaron asking, I'm just getting into Final Girl and loving it. Could you recommend 3 or 4 good mixes for me? I have Hans at Camp Happy Trails and Ratchet at the Asylum. So like that's a really good beginning 2 boxes. Like obviously Camp, Hans, Camp Happy Trail, like you can't go wrong with that being your first box. And the Ratchet Lady at the Asylum, like that's a good killer to scale. Like Ratchet Lady can be kind of a nasty killer. She's good and challenging. And the Asylum's really fun with like the pill system. But if you want 3 recommendations, maybe I'll give you 1 from each season. So season 1, I'm looking over so I can think of all of them at the same time. I think that you would do well with, I think, Creech Manor. I think if you're already kind of familiar with the game, and I think Creech Manor with the Poltergeist with like the alternate win condition is a really, really fun killer. I really like her. So maybe that would be my season 1 suggestions. Creech Manor, if you're okay getting a weird killer. Creech Manor is a pretty kind of like, you know, straightforward, kind of simple map, so you kind of miss out if you're looking for more map complexity. That's not going to give it to you, but I think the Poltergeist itself is worth the effort of getting Creech Manor. My season 2 suggestion, Station 2891, I think that's a good one to go with. Normally I would suggest the Intruders, but like the pill system, like the crafting of the pill system kind of feels similar, and you're going around the map trying to pick things up. It might feel a little similar to the Asylum. I think that the kind of Snow Station and the killers especially are a lot of fun. You don't have any like multi-killer sets, so I think the Intruders would also fill that requirement, but the Organism, where you can have 1 to 3 of those things hiding in the survivors, is really, really fun. So I think the Organism would be a pretty solid one to go with. And then for season 3, I'm still kind of settling, I'm still digesting how I feel about all of them. I think the Hell to Pay box with the the Hellraiser and the Hellscape map. I adore Hellscape. Like, it might be one of my favorite maps they've ever made. It's kind of modular. It has like these shifting tiles that kind of change things up. I think it's a lot of like very, very fun interactiveness to play with. Razorface, that's his name. He does a really cool thing where he'll kind of like curse you, and they're like these like little sub-objectives that you need to resolve before you're able to actually get to the end of killing him. I think he's a really cool killer. So yeah, season 1, I would say Creech Manor. If not, Inkinyaba. Make the dip, go hardcore into Final Girl and try Inkinyaba. Season 2, I think that the station with the organism is really good. And then for season 3, I think they're all pretty good complementary like additions. None of them are like super, super simple, but I like Razorface. I think you'd enjoy that one. Pretty good. I'm sorry, Kumagoro42, chillin' cozy solo. Is it Final Girl? It is not. Actually, after I'm done doing this, I think I'm gonna record a playthrough of Bad Times at Buddyland. That just came in not too long ago, and so I'd like to get a play of that. So if any of you are mascot horror fans, be on the lookout, because I'm gonna record a playthrough of that. And then our last question here is from Casey Wallace, and they ask, which upcoming games are you looking forward to the most? So yeah, I have a couple that I am looking forward to. My number one kind of biggest anticipation right now is a game called Terrorscape. And if you're a fan of Final Girl, maybe you have heard of this game if you follow horror board games. And that is a game where it's like kind of like a hidden movement deal, where one person's going to be like this killer character and the other people are playing cooperatively to like move around this map and, I don't know, solve objectives and stuff depending on the killer, and to escape alive. And I'm really excited for it. If you've seen anything on the channel, I think I kind of talk about how much of a horror kind of genre fan I am. And so to have a game where it's like that cat and mouse kind of gameplay, I'm really, really excited for that. That reminds me of another game I really want to try, the Halloween board game, where like it is just straight hidden movement. One person is playing as like Michael Myers and the other people are like trying to survive. I would like to get that played. I just have not gotten around to it. There's too many games. They actually have put up a number of games. I think they have like a Child's Play game, they have the Halloween game. I like to play all of those eventually, just because I am a fan of like all those movie franchises. It would be cool to eventually play through those. But I saw there's this little game from Envyborn Games, and it's called The 12 Labors of Hercules, and it's a little smaller box solo game that is kind of like dice placement, dice mitigation type stuff. Going through like the 12 Labors of Hercules. And I just listened to an audiobook narrated by Stephen Fry about Greek mythology, and there's a whole section on the 12 Labors of Hercules. So from that aspect, like I'm just listen to the story, so I'm kind of excited to play a game to go through them while it's fresh in my head. So I'm definitely gonna be on the lookout for that from a solo perspective. And now there's one more out there, another Gen Con release is the Shriek, I forget what the name of the box is, but the new Final Girl set that is coming out at Gen Con. The map is like a board game convention, and there's like a lot of meta humor about board games and like the locations and the killer, and there's like a little bit of a deduction game you're playing trying to find the killer, so it feels very in line with like a Scream movie where like, you know, the fun of the movie is trying to track down who the killer is, right? Like that's always the whole hook of a good Scream movie. And so like adapting that into a board game world is really, really exciting. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous, honestly. I don't know. I feel like it's something that could buckle under its own weight if it tries to be too meta and do too many weird things. But again, I feel like we're at the point with Final Girl, we have like, you know, 3 seasons of just, I would say, like normal boxes. It's cool to see that they're doing something a little weird, a little out there, that's gonna like play in the board game space. So I think I'll definitely be picking that up at Gen Con. I'll make that a priority. I'm really excited to check that out though. And with this last tile comes the end of our Q&A video here. So I'm just gonna plop this down somewhere. I don't think we have a legal place to put it. And if you are a good Gentle Rain player, I am sorry if you watched this. I was kind of, again, just doing it as background, just to keep my hands busy while I was talking. But in any case, there we go. That is the end of our Q&A video here. I would like to thank everyone sincerely who kind of put a question down in that community post. Yeah, if you guys enjoy this, please let me know in the comments below. It's my first time doing a video of this format. I'm also at a standing desk, so I was like, I don't know, I felt like it'd be a little more organic to talk while like standing. It just feels a little more natural to like move around. So I've actually really enjoyed playing solo games off camera on the standing desk. It's kind of cool. But in any case, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, if you guys like this video, please let me know. Give it a like, let me know in a comment. If you have questions, maybe I'll like use the comment section of this video to aggregate questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun listening to me ramble about some of these questions. I hope you enjoyed Gentle Rain. Really nice, cozy game. This is a game I was not a believer in. I thought it was gonna be like so simple. It's like kind of like put me to sleep. But if you guys saw my last video on the box off game, this kind of falls into a similar vein where it's like just kind of like a relaxing background type thing I'll do while like listening to music or whatever. Or you could just play it cooperatively. We played this during a blackout recently, and we had a lot of fun playing this game. It was like the perfect like chill blackout game. So shout out to Incredible Dream for Gentle Rain. Really, really fun game. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our video. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.